Hey, good morning. This is Eli and Oliver, and we're going to teach you how to make bulletproof coffee in an Aeropress and a Magic Bullet. So I've got some hot water sitting inside of the container for the Magic Bullet, and that is because I've actually cracked these by pouring hot coffee into the cold plastic, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to start with some fresh ground coffee, and we have some Renegade Roast. It's a really good local Santa Monica coffee that you can get at renegaderoastco.com. And the Aeropress calls for about 15 grams per cup of coffee, and you can double that up. We're going to be putting it in this 16-ounce thermos to go. So we're going to put in 2 scoops of the Renegade Roast. And Oliver really likes this part. So the grind that you want for the Aeropress is something that is just a little more coarse than an espresso grind, and I'll show you why later. But for this guy, which is a blade grinder, it's about 20 seconds to get that grind. There's really no difference between a nut and spice grinder and a coffee grinder, except the smell of coffee is going to stay in there forever and ever. So you can also use, what's preferred actually is something with ceramic burrs. These grinders just give you a much more even grind, and you can get the fancy, super expensive electric ones, or these cool little ceramic hand grinders that you can take camping that are really awesome too. But this is a lot faster. All right, you ready? Yeah. You want to smell? Smells good. So next we're going to take out the Aeropress, and we're going to put in a filter, and it comes with this cool little holder for filters. And we're going to use a paper filter, and I'm just going to swish it through the hot water really fast to get any sort of weird smelling chemicals out of there. And then this is a little holder for the filter, and then you just secure it onto the bottom of the Aeropress brewing vessel. So we're going to take our coffee and put it inside here, and first I'm going to get the other ingredients ready for the bulletproof coffee. So first we have some raw grass-fed butter, which is really good. Oliver loves this stuff too. And so I use about 1 to 2 tablespoons of this. And remember, this is essentially going to make 2 cups of coffee. Oh yeah, okay.
Down.
Yeah, there you go. Good stuff. Here's another little piece. Okay. And we're going to put in about a tablespoon of the MCT oil. You can see that I don't really measure any of this stuff out because I've done it before and kind of have an eye for how much I need now. So this little guy sits on here, and this is just a funnel to pour your coffee in without spilling it all over the place. And so let's get all this in here. Okay, now we just need hot water. Yeah. Okay, so we have our hot water here, and I don't have any sort of fancy water heater. It's just a regular tea kettle. The temperature of the water is actually pretty important, so you can use like just one of these really inexpensive little measuring sticks, and you want to get it about 175 degrees Fahrenheit. And I just know that after it comes off the boil and sits for about a minute, it hits that temperature. So what we're going to do is pour this in here and fill it up halfway. And the Aeropress comes with this cool little stir stick that has a top on it so that if you put it all the way down, it doesn't mash up against the filter and rip it. So what we're going to do is give this about a dozen good slow stirs. And this is where the coffee blooms and you get the water to saturate all the grounds, and you'll notice like a little layer of foam starting to form on top. Now you can see just like a pour over, some of this is starting to drip through already. And that's okay because the little bit of hot coffee that gets to the bottom is going to start to melt the butter, which is fine. So now we're going to pour the rest of the water in. Yeah, it's hot. Very, very hot. I'm going to put this over here. And we have the plunger. And when you put the plunger in, pull it up just a little tiny bit, and it's going to create a little bit of suction and then stop it from dripping anymore. And the brew time, and this is very debatable all over the place with people who like Aeropress coffee, but I found that 1 minute works. I'm tired too. I can't wait for some coffee. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, this should be all done brewing. So now what we're going to do is just slowly apply some pressure on the plunger. And this is where you can really tell if you got the right grind or not, because it shouldn't be incredibly hard to press and not let any air through, but it shouldn't just fall to the bottom either. You can see nice coffee coming down. Oliver, look, see the coffee? It is definitely better to do it with 2 hands, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do. As soon as you hear the air coming down, that means that you've got all of the water out of the brewing cylinder. And you can take this out. And if you give it a little pull again and then walk around with it, it's not going to drip as much because you've created a little bit of a vacuum in there. And the best part about this is to clean it up. You just unscrew this, push this out, and it pops out the filter and the coffee grinds and everything else, and then you can just throw that away. All right, so now we have what's essentially a really strong double espresso. So I'm going to take the hot water and fill this up, not quite all the way to the top because it's going to really foam up a lot when we blend it. And let's get the cap on here. Pop this inside. Open this back up. Yummy, doesn't that smell good? And the size of the Magic Bullet blender jar is perfect for a 16-ounce travel mug. Just pour this in here. See all that nice buttery foam. And that is it. Yum. Not for you little guy, sorry.
Daddy?
Yeah.